okay, Pops, there were high-flying online car dealers that last year were paying hand over fist, way too much money for used cars. Now, all of a sudden, Carvana, Vroom, Shift, they're struggling a little bit. We actually have breaking news. Carvana's dealer license was just suspended in the state of Illinois. This is after last year it was suspended in North Carolina and threatened to be suspended in the state of Florida. Vroom's got a new CEO. Their stock's down 95+%. Like, can you please summarize the downfall of both of these companies? And we'll leave Shift out of it for now, but I think they're in the same boat.
The best way I can describe it is there was a fight in the 1980s, I think, 70s or 80s. It happened in Kingston, Jamaica. It was Joe Frazier was the heavyweight champion of the world, and George Foreman was the challenger.
Okay.
And nobody thought that George Foreman had a shot at winning the championship. Mm-hmm. And Howard Cosell did the blow-by-blow for that fight for ABC. And there's a famous line.
Down goes Frazier!
I think you could change that to, down goes Carvana! Down goes Vroom! What goes up oftentimes comes down. I think the best way to describe these two online retailers is that investors thought that they could become the Amazon of used car dealers.
Probably what the pitch was, yeah.
A hell of a pitch. Got people to invest a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then reality kind of set in. That they're not in a position to be able to do what they want to do online and be able to provide the service that they need to provide to their customers, including, I don't know, getting the vehicles registered and titled in a timely fashion. Thinking about getting an extended warranty? Go to joinyaa.com and check out our pricing there. There's no obligation, no spam, no robocalls. YAA for your extended warranty. In North Carolina, Carvana couldn't seem to do that. Their dealer license was suspended for 180 days.
Yep.
In Illinois,
Yep.
their dealer license was just suspended with no time frame. Well, they need to clean up their issues before we'll reinstate their license.
Florida, it was, you have a set period. It was the end of last year.
Yes.
End of 2021. If you don't get everyone their titles by this time, we're going to do something, take action. They were going to suspend their license.
Yes.
There's a class action lawsuit against Carvana, I think out of the state of Pennsylvania.
I believe.
Nationwide, Carvana has complaints around their business practices. And then the other piece of the puzzle, Dad, not only just not getting people their titles, the Vroom class action lawsuit, or the Vroom lawsuit from the
Attorney General in Texas, selling bad cars, not reconditioning the cars, not disclosing all the damages to the cars, selling vehicles that were rebuilt and with salvage titles and not telling customers about it, not being able to provide registrations and titles in a time. I mean, the list goes on. It sounds similar to Carvana. The list goes on and on. They were flush with cash. They spent a lot of money to buy cars, used cars, so that they could put them online. They didn't particularly do a good job of reconditioning those cars before they sold them. They sold them without reconditioning and then tried to take care of the issues after the fact.
Definitely seems that way, yeah.
And you know, if you want to bleed red to the tune of $506 million in the first quarter of this year for Carvana, or $311 million for Vroom in the first quarter, well, that can't go on forever. I believe in all the years that Carvana has been in business, they've had one profitable quarter.
I think it was a year ago in the first quarter, yeah.
One.
And and very recently, to be clear, they laid off 2,500 operations staff.
Yes.
Which is mind-boggling to me, because I think the challenge that we've talked about all along with these businesses is operationally how difficult it is to actually do all the things that you witnessed in the dealership for 40 years. Selling and buying cars is not particularly easy. There's a lot of bad actors, people who want to take advantage, sell crap. You dealt with that. Your worst ever trade-in story was you accidentally buying a car that you didn't do a good inspection on.
Yes.
How often do you think that happened to Carvana?
Every day.
Exactly.
Several times a day.
Probably hundreds of times a month.
And instead of relieving themselves of 2,500 operations people, they probably should have gone out and hired 2,500 title clerks. I understand that investors were enthralled. I'm not convinced by any stretch that just because investors were enthralled, that these things are going to be long-term successful businesses the way they were set up or the way they're set up now. Both Vroom and Carvana are going, well, we've got to figure out ways to make more money per car because they overpay for all the cars that they buy. When they buy a lot of these cars, which they buy sight unseen, they buy a lot of junk.
Yeah.
And they get taken advantage of, and then they turn around and sell it. So to me, it's just not a successful, what I would consider to be a successful business model. I get it. People hate dealerships. The successful business model would be changing the way we sell cars at the dealerships.
And CarMax, to be clear, CarMax has proven.
It can be done.
I actually think the issue here is an execution issue. Because CarMax has proven the business model is viable.
Are you suggesting that some of the folks at Carvana and Vroom should be executed?
No. Of course not. No, I don't even like insinuating that.
That was a John McKay thing when he was coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A sports writer said to him after they lost like 26 games in a row, he said, "Do you think it's a matter of execution?" He said, "Well, I would be in favor of it."
My point being that you can make money. We know how CarMax makes money. We actually know how Carvana and Vroom and all the other dealerships make money. It's a little bit on the car sale, more now than ever before, but primarily on the financing and the insurance products. I think it's an execution issue. We're seeing that, and it's very obvious now with all the different local governments that are taking actions against these corporations, and also the consumers that are taking actions against these corporations, class actions. Read the reviews online before you do business with them. And I want to bring up one other point, wave one flag here, which is selling your car to Carvana or Vroom may not be the most lucrative thing to do right now. Look at some of the big publicly traded companies out there. Penske Automotive owns CarShop, I think. So go look at CarShop.
Yes.
There's one called CarNow. I forget which one owns CarNow. There's Driveway, which is owned by Lithia Automotive. AutoNation probably has one as well.
They all do.
They all of the big public traditional dealer groups own these Carvana competitors. I ran a search earlier for an F-150, a 2018 F-150 that I found on our car search, and I compared Carvana and Driveway. $1,500 price difference in the offers. So check your dealerships again. Don't just be, I'm going to go sell to Carvana because it's the easiest. No, it's probably not going to be the most lucrative for you as a consumer right now because of all the challenges they're facing.
Yes, they have to preserve some of their cash.
Yeah, and
just saying.
Hopefully the founders don't cash it all out before it. Well, they already did, so I guess it's okay.
I wouldn't worry about that.
All right, let's see what happens with these companies. Let us know in the comments down below what you think is going to happen to Carvana and Vroom. I don't know, Dad. I think that this is a slippery slope that both of these companies are on.
Down goes Frazier!